Hi, everybody. Welcome to the YS IdeaLab. My name is Josh. I work with the friends over at downloadyouthministry.com and the Download Youth Ministry web show, sponsored and powered by YS. I'm with my friend Greg Stier. Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, man. Greg Stier is the, director, founder, president?
Something like that.
All those things and more for Dare to Share Ministries. Dude, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how things are going.
Yeah, we've been doing Dare to Share for 20 years. And,
You look so young. How is that possible?
Yeah. But I love it. Training students how to share their faith.
Yeah, that's the heartbeat, right?
Yeah, equipping teenagers to tell their friends about Christ.
Love it.
To live it and give it and spread the good news of Jesus. So,
I love it. One of the things that I've always admired about you, and I know you're pretty well known in youth ministry circles, but I love that you are constantly sharing your faith with your people that you bump into, with your friends, family, neighbors, people on the airplane.
Yeah.
It's your life.
Well, to me, the gospel is the best news ever, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Jesus died, rose again. Through faith in him, we have eternal life, eternal hope.
Yeah.
I'm a Bronco fan. I'm from Denver, right?
Yeah.
I talk about the
there's
Broncos,
There's one Bronco fan. We'll pray for you, brother. Green Bay.
And if I'm going to talk about the Broncos,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Jesus, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I love him more. So.
I just love it because you're not only, encouraging students to share their faith, you're living it out.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. I think youth workers can learn a lot, honestly, from the model of your life.
Well, it's because when I was a kid, there was a church in the suburbs. I was raised in the city, a broken family. The church from the suburbs reached out to the city, and they reached my whole family for Jesus Christ. They reached me for Jesus Christ. They brought me into the youth ministry. They trained us. They equipped us. They loved us. Changed my life, and that's why I love training students how to share their faith.
And you've training students to do that ever since. I love it. Your story becomes now your life story.
That's
Brilliant.
Right.
Well, hey, help us, the people that are watching online or in the crowd today, what are the biggest roadblocks for teenagers to share their faith? It is an intimidating idea to share your faith with your friends. So tell us about some of those roadblocks.
Well, I think some of the roadblocks, obviously, ignorance. They don't know, even how to bring it up.
Yes. Yes.
How do you get to that awkward moment and drop the J-bomb on somebody? If they say, "Boy, it's hot in here," do you say, "It's hot in hell too"? Let me tell you about it.
Yeah.
You don't
Just Jesus juke them, bring in the good news. Yeah, come on.
And so, not knowing how to bring it up and fear. To be honest with you, if you give the average teenager a choice of going to the Amazon and building a mud hut while fighting off pythons and killing jaguars to serve the poor, or going to their school cafeteria table and mentioning Jesus to their friends, they'll choose the jaguars and the pythons.
Take me to the jungle.
They'll take me to the jungle, right? And so what I love about it, though, is even though that is a huge roadblock, if they're willing to make that commitment, in a sense, it's them picking up their cross, dying to themselves. And I think what happens, obviously, we know what happens when the gospel goes forth and people come to Christ, but the kingdom's not only advanced externally, it's advanced internally because they begin to own it, when they share it. So.
I love it. That's great. Now, I talked about how you continue to share your faith personally as well. Why do youth workers out there, why can they not just tell their students to do this, but they need to share their faith personally? Tell us why that's important.
We just did this national research study of youth ministry and evangelism. And what we discovered were the youth leaders that shared their faith more consistently, their students shared their faith more consistently.
That's good.
The youth leaders who did not, their students who didn't. Here's what I think one of the problems is. We tend to look at youth ministry and evangelism as a program. So we're going to do an evangelistic program, right? We're going to bring our kids somewhere. Maybe a Dare to Share conference or a Billy Graham thing or Greg Lowry thing or whatever, this big festival. And not necessarily a lifestyle that we live. And so I think as long as it stays a program and not part of the way that we roll, it's not going to really translate into the DNA of the youth ministry.
So you're saying you don't want an evangelistic program. You want an evangelistic lifestyle from the leaders to the students to everyone.
That's right. And in the way that those youth leaders are wired and those students are wired. So I'm wired one way.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I kick in the front door.
You're usually wired all the time.
That's right. Evangelistically, I'm just kind of a kick in the front door, say hello to my friend, Jesus. And my wife, she's wired a different way. She's a relational. She sneaks in the side door, makes you some tea, and has a conversation.
Well, and teaching students, there are different ways to evangelize. Because I think they look at you or they look at the lead youth worker and go, I am not that person.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to share my faith when I am not like Greg? Or I'm not like Susan or whoever their youth worker is. So show them there's different ways of communicating the good news.
You know, I think that's brilliant because here's the thing. Evangelists like me, you know, we tell stories like, you know, that state trooper pulled me over and gave me that ticket and said, you're guilty, son. I said, we're all guilty, officer. Right? But Jesus took that ticket that was against us and he tore it up and he let it, you know.
Preach it.
And we tell stories like that and everybody goes, yay, amen, amen. You're a freak. I will never do that, right?
Exactly.
But
I'm out. I am out. No way.
I think when a youth leader who does not have the gift of evangelism shares their faith, even if they're horrible at it, the students are inspired because they see that youth leader leading the way. So we talk about 4 different styles of evangelism: talkers, stalkers, buddies, and brains, right?
I love it. Yeah, like go through each one.
Paul, Acts 17, brings it up anytime, anywhere, in the synagogue, you know, and on Mars Hill, wherever.
Right.
Peter, first one to stand up, last one to shut up. He's a stalker. He actually started a sermon in Acts 2. Hey, we're not drunk, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Barnabas, Aquila, Priscilla, they're buddies. Come alongside, sons of encouragement. And then the brain, Luke, who's the Lee Strobel of his day.
That's
so no
cool.
matter what your style, use that style and love people into the kingdom.
That's awesome. So I think it'd be helpful even for youth workers to look at those 4 and go, how am I wired evangelistically? And then give students options in those different areas. That's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. And whatever you are is great because that's how God has wired you.
Love it. Now, you would say there's a direct connection between evangelism and discipleship, that those are directly connected, right? As you become more evangelistic, you are truly being discipled. Is that a fair statement? And support it.
Well, you look at the Gospels.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't take his youth group, his disciples, into the synagogue or into the tabernacle or temple for 3.5 years. He took them on the road. It was a 3.5-year missions trip, and he taught them along the way. It was a lifestyle of evangelism. The Son of Man came to seek and save what was lost, Luke 19:10. And they learned along the way, and he taught them theology and life skills and all that stuff along the way. And when you look at evangelism and discipleship, usually we think, well, I got to disciple my kids so much, and they'll be ready.
Then they can go evangelize.
But my question to those youth leaders is, how's that worked out for the adults in your church? Right? Because they go to
Quit
meetings,
meddling.
they fill
Quit
in
meddling,
blanks.
Greg. Stop.
No, I mean, but that's the truth.
No,
but what
true.
happens is when kids are put, you know, Tim Keller sent out a tweet a month ago that said, teenagers have plenty of information about God, but they have little experiences of him. Then he said, teenagers must be put in a place where they're forced to depend and rely on God.
Yeah, come on.
And evangelism puts them in a position. I'm not talking about standing on the corner with a bullhorn. I'm talking about teens engaging their friends with the good news of Jesus Christ. It puts them in a position where they have to rely on God. God, I need you. And it deepens their faith, and it turns that discipleship torque in their soul.
That's great. Now, Greg, you've done a ton of great resources for students, for ministries, for churches. Tell us about maybe the latest thing that you've done or written to help youth workers get this culture and lifestyle evangelism in their ministry.
You know, I wrote a little book called Firing Jesus. And it's novel.
I've read it.
What if Jesus was a youth leader at your church? And it's written from the perspective of the elders meeting. And it's designed to help youth leaders kind of imagine, you know, am I running a kind of a Jesus type of youth ministry in the same way that Christ kind of would have did? It asks a lot of good questions, and I think creates an opportunity to make evangelism really drive the course of our youth ministry.
Very cool. If you haven't picked up Firing Jesus by Greg Stier, make sure that you do that. And check out dare with the number 2 share.org. Is that right?
.org.
Dare2share.org. Check that out. And Greg, thank you for your time today. It's a really big deal
You bet.
to have you here. Go share your faith with your friends and family. Tell them the good news of Jesus. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right,
This has been the YS IdeaLab. We'll see you next time.